So I was finishing this tab section tutorial and I noticed this reCAPTCHA. Now the CAPTCHA is a necessary evil on most websites. I was thinking of a really cool way of securing forms without any sort of honeypots or third-party bot detectors or anything like that. It actually came to me when I was looking at my video game. So I created this mini game not too long ago, and it involves drag and dropping wires onto a computer chip in order to complete the mini game. And the whole basis of the logic is that these wires ends have to go exactly on these solder points in order to complete the mini game. If we do it in a certain way, we can actually create a way to dynamically bring a form to life only if you complete a certain task. A lot of people use math and other little tricks and stuff like that, but I think this will be a lot more fun. So the first thing we're going to need is to get the objects in which we want to drag and drop into the certain spot onto the page, as well as a group that we will pull the form into. So let's first grab a group, and then in that group, let's do an image. So let's add the images that we're going to use to target this. We're going to go upload, and I created some special images just for this. Let's see if you understand how it's going to work. Yeah, we'll make this one pretty small. And then let's replace this with a new one. Perfect. All right. We got our two images. Now I'm going to add some helper classes to these images so that we can target them. So this is going to be cookie. And this is going to be feed me. Great. And this whole thing is going to be the secure form section. Awesome. So let's go ahead and inside of this group, let's add a new group. And this is going to be the actual form that's going to show up. So what's going to be called form container, and we'll call secure form container. Great. Because I'm not quite sure if it already has a class like that. Okay, so now we have it. We have our three parts. We have our form container, and then we have the robot test. So let's see what it looks like on the front end. Perfect. So let's do some styling. All right. So first things first, let's add secure form section. And this is the entire container. I always make things so you can do multiples on the page, just in case you want to. It makes things a lot better when they don't conflict. So we'll do some secure forms, and then we're going to do the secure form container. And then we're going to have our cookie and our feed me. Awesome. Now, for the secure form container, we want to create a place to put the form. So we're going to define some height and widths. So we'll go height 700, width 500. We'll give it a background of gray, and we'll make this a little bit lighter. And then we'll go ahead and add a border, which will just do like 2 pixels solid blue. And I'll just make this a little bit more me. Then we'll add a border radius through the whole section. And she'll do 4 pixels. And that's pretty much all we have to do for now. I'll go ahead and add a little bit of a padding too, actually. Okay. So I'm just going to leave the cookie in the feed me section open in case I need to add some specific styles after we get this working, like positioning and stuff like that, sizing. So let's see what it looks like on the front end. There we go. We have our cookie, we have the feed me, and the form section. So all we need to do is tell if the cookie is overlapping my face. And then once it does that, we'll run the rest route and return the form. So let's start by getting the form section. Secure forms. So we'll grab them all. Query selector all. It's going to be secure form section. And if they exist, any of them, we'll go ahead and loop through. And loop through. And now let's grab the cookie and my face. So we got cookie test equals secure form, query selector, and that would be cookie. And then let's grab my face, feed me, secure form, query selector, and feed me. So now we have the 2 elements that we need to detect if they're overlapping. And in order to do that, we need a helper function. And that's going to be called is overlapping. Okay. So we're going to define a function is overlapping, and we're going to pass it to 2 elements. So element 1, element 2. So now we'll grab element 1's position. So we'll do element 1 position. And that's just going to be element 1's get client, bounding client rec. And then let's get element 2's position. If I could spell. And that is element 2 get bounding client rect. Great. And then we have a series of conditions that'll check, is this currently overlapping? So I'm going to grab that from here because it's a little annoying. And this is something I already wrote. So we'll do that. And instead of redirect, we're going to do element 1. Oops. Instead of redirect, we're going to do element 1 position. Bop, 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 bop. And instead of solder points, we're going to do element 2 position. Dot, 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 dot. Perfect. So now what's going to happen is you're going to pass it 2 elements and check true or false, are they overlapping? In order to get the dragging functionality, we have to do a little bit more work here. So in order to do all the drag functionality, we're going to need to create a couple event listeners, drag start and mouse up. So what we'll do is we're already in secure forms. So we can go ahead and grab the cookie because this is the thing we're going to be dragging. And we'll go cookie test.add event listener. And that's going to be drag start. And we'll go ahead and run the handle drag start function that we will be defining. And then we'll add another one. And that will be add event listener, mouse up. Now mouse up is going to be basically when you let go. So drag start is when you grab something and start dragging, and then we'll also detect when you stop clicking the mouse, which is a surefire way to avoid any weird drag stop. There's a lot of other event listeners that just kind of don't work in my experience. So drag start, mouse up. So now let's define the handle drag start. This is handle mouse up. So we got function, handle, drag start. Okay. And this is going to have an event. Now, first things first, we're going to prevent default. And this way, on the actual items, a lot of other things can be happening when you're actually dragging them. So we want to stop them right from the get. Next, let's get the container, because what we're actually dragging is the entire image block. Inside the front end, you'll see that the actual cookie itself is wrapped in this figure, right? So I don't want to just drag the image. I want to drag the entire container and the image. So let's grab the image container, and that equals event.target.closest, and then we're going to do WP block image. There. Now we have the image container. And if that exists, let's do a few things. We'll get the bounding rec. So rec equals image container dot get bounding rec. And now we also need to get the offset between the image and the container in case there's padding or any sort of differences in width. So we know that we're actually grabbing the image's position, not the containers, but we're dragging the entire container with the image. So in order to do that, we need to define, let's do offset Y and offset X. Now let's get the offset X, and that's going to be the event client X minus the rect left. Okay, and now for the offset Y, it's going to be event client Y minus rect top, and that'll give us the position of the image. And the next thing we need to do is specific to dragging. So we need to actually define the way we're going to be transferring the drag data to the next function. So it's going to be event data transfer set data, and it's going to be text, plain, and we won't define any data. Next thing we need to do is define a mouse move event. And this is going to happen for each image that is being dragged. It's going to call this mouse move function. So we got document dot add event listener. It's going to be mouse move, and we'll do a new function called handle mouse move. So now let's define the handle mouse move function. So function handle mouse move, and that's going to have an event as well. And what we want to do is basically see the positioning based off of the container that it's in. That's the difference between if you just set a drag functionality based off of the actual window. What we want to do is see the positioning within the context of the secure form section. And now here is also where we want to start changing the positioning of the image that's going to be moving. So first things first, in order to do that, we need to set up a new variable up here, and that's going to be image container. And now that's going to basically give us the ability to pull that into this function as well. And so we'll check if image container exists. And now if it's null, then this function won't work, nothing will happen, no errors. But if the drag starts, then it will be redefined here, and we'll be able to use the contents here and actually move around that image. Next thing we'll do is grab the positioning of the secure form section. We'll define that here. So it's going to be form container rect equals secure form get bounding client rect, and now we'll get the positioning of the mouse in accordance to the secure form section, which we'll do it like this: mouse X equals the event, so that's the actual mouse move event, client X minus the form container rect dot left, and we'll get const mouse Y with the event client Y minus the form container rect top. So now everything is in accordance to the actual secure form section. And since we are going to be doing this for as many forms that are on the page, I'm going to wrap all of this inside of this for each, which I could have done earlier. Alright. So now these are all defined specific to each of these secure forms. So now we'll want to change a few things with the image container. So for the image container, we're going to change the position once it's moving to fixed. And then we're going to change the container style Z index to make sure it's in front of everything. Now we're going to set the image container position based off of the mouse and the offset that's defined here during drag start. So that means that the actual image is going to be following your mouse very closely. So I got image container style dot left equals, and we'll do something like this. We'll do mouse X minus offset X and pixel. And then for image container style top, we'll do mouse Y minus offset Y and pixel. Great. So now it should be moving nice and close to your mouse as you're dragging. Now the last function we need to add is to handle the mouse up. So this is when you stop dragging. So we got function handle mouse up. Now we'll check if the image container exists again. And what we want to do is we want to actually remove the reference to the image container. So we'll reset it to null. After you let go, we don't want it to be referenced anymore. So on top of that, we're also going to remove the event listener for mouse move. Remove event listener. Oops. Mouse move. Using the handle mouse move function. Okay. And now what we need to do is we need to grab all the current coordinates for everything we just moved around and the secure container and everything, and determine if the criteria was met, which is it overlapping in the right spot. So we'll go ahead and grab all the secure forms again. So const secure forms document.query selector all, and that's secure form section. And again, if that exists, which it does, secure forms for each through those again, secure form. And now we'll grab the feed me and the cookie again. So we got the const feed me, secure form, query selector, feed me, and we'll grab the cookie. Secure form, query selector, cookie. Let's go ahead and define overlapping as false by default. Now we have those two. Let's just go ahead and try out the isOverlapping function we defined earlier. So let's console log isOverlapping, and we'll do feed me and then cookie. Now what we should see, we should have the ability to drag the cookie over my face, drop it, and then get true. We should also be able to drop it and get false. So let's compile this and see how we did. So here we go. We have our cookie, we have our feed me face, and let's go ahead and see if we can drag this. Okay, dragging works, but it seems like the positioning is way off, and my guess is because of the actual container size. And I can't drop it either, so something else is going on. So let's see what's going on. First off, for the cookie, let's do width. Let's define this. Make it 30 pixels. And see if that helps with the positioning. Alright, it's pretty small, but did not seem to help either. It's not using the container as the reference point. My guess is because the container is not fixed as well. So instead of fixed, we might want this to be absolute. So let's try switching this from fixed to absolute. See, in my game, everything needs to be fixed because the actual minigame itself is fixed. So it's possible that it'd be better with absolute in this scenario. Alright, let's try again. There we go. Success. Grab the cookie. And look, now it worked. And look at that, true. It worked. Obviously my feed me face needs to be changed in position too because we're getting true too many times. So let's go feed me. Let's make you width of whatever, 200 pixels. And see if that helps. Alright, so if we go over here, false. If we drag and let go, true. Perfect. Now I want that cookie to be a little bit bigger. So we have the basis of our secure function computer detector. So we'll know if a bot does, because a bot can't take this cookie and know to put it in my mouth, right? It won't even know that functionality exists. So now all we have to do is link up the REST route to pull the form into the container if this is true. All right, now in part 2, we'll go ahead and get the form loading into the form container and finish up styling the whole thing. See you in the next one.